call this meeting to order. Welcome. It is January 23rd. It's 4 o'clock, and this is the Public Works Committee with Dan, and I'm Woody. And we'll be here for a few minutes. So starting off with Dennis Grant, item 1.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. And again, my name's Dennis Grant with the Engineering Department. And what we have going on today is the applicant Zanetti Brothers Incorporated is requesting the vacation of a portion of Appleway Avenue right-of-way that adjoins the southwesterly boundary of their property on 1327 West Appleway Avenue. Up on the screen, there's an exhibit showing that. It's between Winco is on the left side and Lowe's is on the right side there. And so it's on that curve there on Appleway. There's that little piece of right-of-way. It is unknown when the requested right-of-way was originally dedicated to the city of Coeur d'Alene. The vacation of the requested right-of-way would not have any financial impact on the city and would add approximately 0.23 acres to the county tax roll. Although a minor amount, it would be a benefit to the municipality as tax revenue and to the landowner whose lot adjoins the strip of usable property. The purpose of this request is to realign the excess right-of-way to match the existing public improvements. All utilities are existing and in place, and there is no foreseeable use for that additional right-of-way. Therefore, the vacation of this portion of right-of-way adjoining this parcel would not impact the city and would be a benefit to the property owner. So the recommendation is, staff recommends to the Public Works Committee to proceed with the vacation process as outlined in Idaho Code Section 1306 and to recommend to the City Council the setting of a public hearing for the item on March 7th, 2017.
Dennis, I couldn't have read that better myself.
Yeah, I'm a good reader. I put my readers on.
This is one of those controversial things that comes to us that, you know, I'm just a little reluctant to weigh in on it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Dan, any difficult questions for Dennis over there? Okay, look for a motion, please.
Move to recommend we proceed with the vacation of the portion of right-of-way and direct staff to set a public hearing for this item on March 7th, 2017.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any other comments, thoughts? Dennis, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That would just go on there anyway, right? Okay.
Yeah, there's no one. What else could we do?
All right, next up, this is really exciting. John Dirth is here relating it to the adoption of new local limits and specific prohibitions. John, what is this?
Where are we?
So again, I'm John Dirth. I'm with the wastewater department. This might be a little bit rougher given this is my first time here. So I'm here seeking approval to amend two different sections of our municipal code that deal with wastewater discharges to the city's wastewater treatment plant consistent with EPA requirements listed in our current MPDS discharge permit. The first section, section 13.20.2.1, deals with 5 additional specific prohibitions on what cannot be discharged to the sewer treatment plant. The second is section 13.20.2.4, which contains actual numerical limits on certain pollutants discharged to the sewer treatment plant. So in 2014, our current MPDS permit required us to evaluate and update our local limits. These limits typically apply to what we call significant industrial users. In the city, we have 3 of those currently permitted. So we hired a consultant, completed a lot of monitoring and sampling and so forth, and completed the evaluation. So with the evaluation, we have the current limits listed up there and the proposed limits. Overall, there was a slight increase to the limits, which relaxed the restrictions on the industrial users. We added 3 additional limits, ammonia, phosphorus, and molybdenum, as required in our discharge permit. And we eliminated 2 oil and grease, and cyanide, because, again, we had no measurable discharge of cyanide to the treatment plant. We also added 5 additional specific prohibitions, 4 that deal with fats, oil, and grease, which are specific to basically mainly restaurants in our city, and also 1 that deals with PCB discharges to the sewer system as required by EPA. So from a financial perspective, the wastewater department will incur a slight increase in testing fees associated with the PCB testing requirements on industrial users. The industrial users will actually have less of an impact because we're, due to the less restrictive limits and the fact that we eliminated 2 of those limits from their requirements. So today I'm here seeking approval, seeking to go through their approval process to amend the code accordingly.
Good job.
Thank you.
I have to ask, if you don't mind, so zinc, silver, mercury, all these things that we've always known to be bad, you guys are allowing more now.
We have relaxed the limits the evaluation that we completed showed the limits that are proposed. Basically, our treatment plant overall does a better job at removing those pollutants. Therefore, we can pass that on basically to the industrial users. So we're not discharging more to the Spokane River.
Okay.
Because our limits, our discharge permit has not changed from the new one issued. So we actually will be discharging less overall.
So all those millions of dollars that we've spent there are paying off.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So-
Mr. Gookin.
Thank you, Woody. I have a question, John. So these limits are set by the EPA, but we're supposed to enforce them?
Okay, so the limits that we set, no, they are set by us. We completed an evaluation and determined what the limits should be. So no, we actually conducted the evaluation, but yes, EPA requires us to set local limits on industrial users.
Explain to me how we enforce this.
So, as I mentioned, we have 3 significant industrial users. Those are listed in your packet. We actually issue them a discharge permit with those limits on the permit, and then we enforce it by going out annually and sampling their discharge and then analyzing it to make sure that they comply with the limits.
Okay. And so we had to update our code so that you guys can go do that.
Correct.
Very good.
Dan.
No, it's very, obviously very technical, and I'm going to trust our professional staff to know what they're doing to recommend that, and unless there's other questions, I would make a motion that we amend code section 1322.1B and 13.20.2.4, and for council to set a March 7th public hearing to adopt said changes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions?
Wait,
thoughts?
we have to,
So we'd like to amend that March 7th date to as soon as possible, because in consultation with Randy, we determined that we've already fulfilled the public notification requirement through EPA, because again, as you see the approval letter in there in the packet from EPA, and they in turn conducted a public notification process that satisfied that requirement. So we'd like to,
Yep.
Yep.
So, well, I will amend that we set that, or to
For
set
February
at the
7th?
first available
there you go.
date that'll comply with our processes.
is that good? That's good. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
thank you.
Good job, thank you.
And that is a hearing.
Hearing, yeah, moves forward. All right, next up. This is the good stuff. Chris is here.
It's all nerdy stuff.
It's nuts and bolts and drawings and math. All right, Chris, talk to us about approval of addendum to the original cooperative agreement between City ITD and Kootenai Health.
Okay, so a little bit of history here is that this project was designed, it was funded through ITD with the help of ourselves, went to bid. The bids came out higher than they anticipated, and rather than the state reject the bids, they gave us the opportunity to accept them with an agreement that ourselves and Kootenai Health would fund anything above the amount that they had programmed for this project. So that's what this is an agreement with Kootenai Health to the Idaho Transportation Department that we will partner to fund the overages. And the overages that are listed here, the $243,149, that is an estimate that ITD had put together based on some contingencies that may come up during construction. So it may not ever reach this full amount, but that's what they're expecting the maximum amount might be. And so what we are asking is that you approve this agreement and allow us to shift some funds from the impact fees to cover this. And put in signals here at Emma and Ironwood on 95 near our hospital.
Dan?
See, if we agree to this, does this mean everyone who has to stop at a new stoplight is gonna be
Yeah.
cursing us?
I know,
So,
pretty close.
the way it works. But this is, as we were talking before the meeting, Chris, so we paid for the design, and now we're talking about construction.
Correct,
And this money's in the budget,
correct.
all of it?
I sure hope so.
Okay,
The new guy.
very good. I don't see any problem, it's just moving forward.
Well, I see that we're going to take the excess from impact fees. You know, on one hand, $250,000 is a lot of money, but do we have any idea how much is in that fund, impact fees? I
I'm
don't
not
see our
sure
treasurer,
which
but-
one that one's in.
There's 4 different quadrants that the city impact fees would come out, and then there's one citywide impact quadrant itself, and there's over $1 million in it right now.
Thanks, Tim. Anything else? So let me ask, so ITD hasn't got any more money in the pot here. It's us and Kootenai Health.
Correct.
And ITD
Well, they
doesn't-
originally they had funded a certain amount for the Ironwood signal, and then later came back with about 600,000 extra dollars to put in to fund the Emma signal included in it. So we're capitalizing on about $1.6 million, I believe it is, 1.65 million in assistance on this.
So you think it's pretty fair share, everybody's in this?
Right.
It's not just us coming up from behind, having to come up with another $250,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and it does, you know, with time kind of the essence, and we're seeing more things that cost, you know, more than estimated, whereas, you know, a few years ago, it was kind of nice, oh, they're coming in lower. And there's probably no reason to believe that prices are going to get cheaper in the near run. So, you know, we might save that much just by keeping it on schedule rather than bumping it out, so.
Good point. Good point. I'll look for a motion then.
Well, I would make a motion that the council approve the addendum to the cooperative agreement with ITD and Kootenai Health and direct the mayor to execute the agreement, which would approve an additional maximum $253,149 from impact fees to cover project costs and contingencies.
Second.
Been moved and second. Anything else, guys?
Is this is beyond the current budgeted amount, or this is the current budgeted amount?
The 250, that's beyond what was programmed by us for this project.
But wait,
I believe we would have to amend the budget to pull the impact, I mean, because it's not inside the current budget for this, but there's some dollars are in the impact. We would just have to ask to have the budget amended to pull the impact fees out.
okay.
put in there.
Then let's not make this a
Thanks, Tim.
consent item. Thanks.
Hey, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent?
No, not a consent.
not a consent.
Because we're going beyond the budget.
Okay.
So that would be one of my pet peeves.
Bring it forward.
Thank you.
So, Chris, have pictures for the council meeting? Show us what we're talking about
Okay.
on the overhead? That would really help.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, moving on, item 4.
All right, I don't have any pictures for this one right now either.
We'll get you.
The next item is a two-part ask. So ITD is they obtained some money for a fast lane grant where they're improving signal operations in the US 95 corridor from about Niter up through our city limits, up north into Hayden. For this project, they have obligated the city of Coeur d'Alene to a match of $672,300. The way that we're anticipating that we can provide this money is through the design of Wilbur Avenue, and Wilbur Avenue is going to be. The plan is to create a new Wilbur between US 95 and Government Way. There's already an intersection at Wilbur going in with the Government Way project. ITD wants to change their signal spacing and timing to improve efficiency on 95, so they would take the signal at Canfield and move it up to Wilbur. And with that, there will be some right-of-way acquisition that will have to occur to get that roadway put in there, but it'll also open up that area for future development. ITD has agreed that our match money can be phased in periodically over the next 3 years. Or if we can get that right-of-way or a portion of it donated, they will include that as our match money for the fair market value of that land donated. So that is one portion of it, is to sign the agreement with ITD to provide our match money. The second portion of it is kind of a standard with ITD in that any signals that they put out there, we have a maintenance agreement with them for signals and for the intersection lighting as well.
Anything?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts on this.
Yeah.
So just to let you guys know, I asked this question at KMPO. Apparently, when ITD moved 95 or 95 moves north of the freeway, they wanted a rule that there would be no traffic signals within half a mile of each other, so that the traffic would kind of progress very fast through there. And as we know, if you drive through there, that's not the case. There are a couple like Niter and Bosanko and then Kathleen, they're real close together. And then up by the mall, you have Hanley and Dalton that are like right there. So it's not really a rule that they've followed very strictly. So I was going to ask the first question, is there any plans to remove the Bosanko signal too?
I believe that the Bosanko one is, yes. That I have a copy of the newspaper article that ITD published their list of improvements that were included with that grant. And yeah, removing signals at Bosanko and Canfield and installing traffic restrictions is part of that.
Okay, because it seems like they just put Bosanko in. And so they want to have cash or donated right-of-way. So explain to me what donated right-of-way is.
Well, if we can convince a property owner alongside of the proposed Wilbur to donate the right-of-way for construction of that, to donate their property to the project because they see the benefit of having a roadway accessing to their property, then we can use the appraised value of that donation as our match to ITD's grant.
So, and normally we would be purchasing that right-of-way.
Correct.
Because there's no road there already, there's no right-of-way
Correct.
purchased, it's just private property.
Correct.
Okay. And I guess the thinking is that would increase the value of their property because they would have what would be a major intersection
Right.
on both sides, and so that would be a valuable thing for them.
Our match would also include any purchased right-of-way. It's not just a donation of right-of-way. This one came to Chris and I, it was out of the blue. We didn't know much about it. Apparently, we are the sponsors of this grant, and that was with the prior engineering. And so we're catching up on this. We're hoping that can also be used for construction. They're still looking for an answer out of Boise. You know, we're hoping right now that we can possibly put Kathleen Avenue in this. Kathleen was somehow left out of this grant. And we're hoping to convince them that that would be an excellent choice to buy that right away along 95 and get that extra lane coming off of there towards Government Way. But we haven't had any luck yet, but we're still working. Chris and I are working on that.
So are we moving the signal then from Canfield all the way up to Wilbur? Are they gonna use the same electronics and hardware?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't know if they
I mean,
will.
I haven't heard that they are.
It seemed like it would save some money, and it works.
Right, as long as the equipment is current enough for what they're using now.
Yeah.
And then what would happen, because this is a question, because it's very important to Dan that he access that. But, so I'll ask for you, how's someone gonna get through, across Canfield then? What happens engineering-wise? I mean, you have something, everyone's used to having a traffic signal here and being able to cross the street there. That's the mall is there, Target's there, there's fast food there. What?
Wendy's is there.
Wendy's is there, so I wasn't gonna push them. But what's gonna happen now? I mean, you're not gonna be able to cross a road there.
We have not seen the design of this project yet. My first guess is gonna be a right in, right out.
Oh.
That they'll be forced to go up to Wilbur to make that left instead of a straight through. That is one of their most safety fears, and that's why they're trying to do this. They're gonna do it very similar to what they did to Cherry Lane a few years ago, where instead of having that traffic run across 95, that they made it right ins and right outs only.
And nothing is gonna be affected on government. I mean,
No.
we will have a signal at Wilbur on government, but there won't be the signal that said.
I don't believe do we have any intention of, we'll
there's an
have to get
intersection,
with our
but no signal.
Welch Comer on that design of Government Way right now, but I don't believe that it shows a signal at Wilbur and Government Way.
You don't think that would
don't
warrant
remember
us
if it
a
does or
signal
not.
there?
Yeah, I don't believe it does.
It doesn't go through? Would it go through?
It does. It would run straight through.
And that's just south of the cemetery there, north of that lot they just cleared,
Yep.
it's all cleared out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dan?
Well, and again, trying to picture this, you know, I guess I could bring it up on Google Map, but trying to, yeah, is all of, if we're talking about extending Wilbur, and, well, that is within the city of Coeur d'Alene, I forget where where the boundaries are, somewhere out there.
That's where the city limit line is right along where Wilbur is planned to go.
And part of this I read where approve an additional $600 and some thousand out of impact fees, and if we've got $1 million in impact fees and we just spent a quarter of it on that, this is most of the rest.
Again, this is over a 3-year process. ITD has given us that opportunity. It's gonna take us a while to work out Wilbur Avenue, you know, I mean, we haven't even begun to look at the water and how do we serve water there, get with the developer who owns that. We're letting you know that we need to move forward on this. We're gonna have, obviously, be back to Public Works again, how we're gonna fund this and where the funding mechanisms will come from. going forward.
Well, and I guess what I would struggle with a little, without the full understanding on it, but it sounds like this will use up, quite a bit of our capacity for funding and impact fees, and I guess I just don't have enough of a sense that out of all of the things we're talking about, that this, I guess I need a little more of why this one should rise to the top of priorities.
Very good question. I mean, I fully understand where you're coming from, council member. I mean, I look at this, we've got really 4 huge projects all happening, Government Way and Celtis and Ironwood and Emma and Medina. And, this one was, like I said, was kind of handed to us, by the way, this is your portion and your sponsorship. And Chris and I have looked at the budget. I mean, I think we have room to make this happen. I can't give you the numbers today for all 3 years. First, we're gonna have to look and see how we go into the Wilbur, start talking Wilbur Avenue with the developer, and, we may get a huge match there. There is a big piece of that that's gonna, with a signal in front of that piece of property is gonna be a lot of value. And we're hoping that we can find matching dollars and things to make this happen.
I have another question. So, Tim, say the property owner doesn't want to play ball, and we have to go ahead and buy the right-of-way, then how does that factor in?
What we're looking at right now is we had to purchase the right-of-way from for the Government Way project from him. If we can purchase it for close to the same amount of dollars on the north side of his property along there, that's gonna take almost 600,000.
Wow. Then-
Yes.
But if we spend the $600,000, then we don't have to pay it to ITD, because that's the match.
Correct, that's a
It's a
matching
wash.
towards this.
Okay, so it looks like we're gonna be spending it, well, we won't spend it if he donates it, that's the good part.
Correct.
Okay,
And we also, there's gonna be some water issues, and through there to get water up into that area, and that may be, like I said, be able to use that as matching funds. It's still up in the air whether construction and design will play a part in the matching funds. We're just asking to, give Chris and I an opportunity here to bring more back to you, but ITD is asking us to try to move this forward because we are the sponsor.
Can I just ask, so now that we are doing Government Way this year, are you guys gonna design an intersection in there for Wilbur while you're going by?
Well, there is an intersection there. I don't know that it's signalized, but that's something
No,
we'll
but
have to
just
take a
to
look
put the
at
curbs in
now,
the-
right? But we may have some time, a few years before this gets constructed, that we'd have to address that. Because right now, the way it's set up with the Government Way project, it's a T intersection, so nobody's shooting across it.
Gotcha. So is that, and that goes along the same as the water and sewer for that piece of property? You guys are gonna be digging up, putting in sewer and water on Government Way this year. Do you take that into consideration? You throw stubs in there, or?
My understanding is the water would come off a section of a private road off a Canfield. That's what
Oh.
former water department head and former engineer talked to.
'Cause-
There was also some talk of bringing it across 95 from the other side of Canfield, but that's still just talk.
Yeah, our water doesn't run all the way up Government Way because Dalton Water Association is in there too, and
Okay.
we share jurisdiction there.
But sewer will, right? Sewer will be running up there?
Or down.
Running down, yeah, down. North, okay. Interesting.
Which is a lot of stuff going on, and it's
Gonna be one of those
amazing.
years. The beauty of this is we don't get blamed for it. We can blame ITD.
I believe we can.
That's a rare one.
Should we
All right, let's-
include that in the contract?
Yeah. I want to be good buds with them, you know. All right, look for a motion.
So I would move that we approve the agreement with ITD with the funding and design of construction improvements on I-95 between 90 and the city's northern limits at Prairie, and the agreement with ITD for maintenance and operation of a traffic signal and street lighting at Wilbur Avenue, and blame ITD. No, strike that last part.
Sorry.
Well, I will second it, and at this point, I mean, but to me, you can see, I mean, I need to get my arms around this some more, and again, you know, that out of all of the things we're doing, I don't know if this is a time where we say, you know, nice offer, but we got so much going on, and the money we're gonna spend it, you know, we'll have to pass it by, but I don't know all the implications of that, but this is one where for sure, you know, hopefully we'd have a good full council discussion in the background, and so.
Are you up for that?
Yeah, is that where we're at?
That would be fine. We can bring
mean-
something. It's gotta be
You can have
signed by
pictures.
the mayor anyway if it
I'll bring
is
pictures.
passed.
Gives you a week to work on it and
Yeah.
get some ideas.
Oh, can this come to the next meeting already?
Yeah,
Okay,
they can tell us what we've asked and they can come up with some more.
okay,
So you're good with your second?
yes, second.
Yeah.
Been moved and seconded. Anything else? Just run with it, you guys. You'll be fine. All
Thank
those
you.
in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's bring that forward. Little dog and pony show. Well, that's all we have. Thanks for coming. You made the whole meeting. And with that, we will adjourn.